Well, hey there, guys and gals. This is BL Blankenship. I am the editor-in-chief at I Shook Comics. I write comics. I do a whole lot of stuff in the indie comic sphere. Lots of stuff going on, but that's not why I'm here to talk to y'all today. I'm wearing my spoiler alert hat that I got because I have been accused of dropping spoilers, and I may very well in this video. I'd like to talk to y'all this moment about the movie A Working Man. It is based on a novel by Chuck Dixon. The screenplay was written by Sylvester Stallone, and myself and my wife went down to watch said movie, Working Man, today. I just wanted to go ahead and say that it was very good. We liked it very much. Um, not exactly sure how much I'm supposed to say. I used to read these like churchy Christian magazines and all that, and they would like talk about any objectable thing. There's obviously violence in it. A lot of people get hit. A lot of people get shot. A girl is abducted. It's shown in very decent ways. It's not like in an R rating category for sexually trafficking this girl or anything. So you don't have any nudity or thing of the sort, nor do you have anything that I feel like is really suggestive. So you're not going through like strip clubs with the half-naked women and all that kind of things like you throw in a lot of these tropes of movies. You do have drugs, you do have excessive like violence and things going on in a way that makes it feel worthwhile. There's some profanity throughout the movie. The F word's used in the double digits, maybe 12 times. I'm guessing. I wasn't counting. The teenage me would have known, but I'm like 40 something now. I don't like to think about it. Let me think about it. 43 now. I'll be 44 by the end of April. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's gratuitous. It doesn't feel like it's out of place. It's said during moments where people would realistically use that kind of verbiage going on. But yeah, so it just dropped, and it's a good action movie for what it is. You've got this man Levon, and he's essentially like an Englishman that's the equivalent of a Green Beret type military dude. He's like a tough guy. He works for a construction company. Um, the daughter of the construction company goes to a party where an individual is taking photographs of the girls and the clients of these seedy operations. So wealthy people, big on money, low on like morals and human decency, sees the one that he likes, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to get that girl," or so he thinks, until she later bites a piece of his face off. It's great. It doesn't show the bite; it just shows the trauma, I guess you would call it, that's there. So there's some blood and nastiness and scarring. It looks pretty presentable. I think that you'd bleed like a stuck hog personally if you were like that. There's one woman that I wonder at the end of it that is a villain, whether she in fact is dead or not. I was expecting her to get back up because that's kind of like a trope. You know that like sleeping with the enemy or whatever, and he like gets up at the end and then like falls back down. Every Jason Voorhees movie, again, yeah. So she doesn't get back up at the end, but I still wonder if she's dead or not, or if she's going to return like that. Lady Vampire, I'm thinking, and the Twilight series that kept coming back, the redhead, it seems like she was. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be like that. So yeah, you've got the bad girl that works for the Russians that's heavily involved in trafficking other women and all that. So all that kind of stuff. Levin does a lot of undercover investigations. He goes to the bars and the places like this. He watches people. He talks to them. Some people kind of get on to him. He gets in several physical altercations with people, popping, cracking, pulling arms and whatnot. Not exactly sure the martial arts stylization uh, didn't look full on Krav Maga, but it might be. But it's that type of thing. Krav Maga is the Israeli martial art, and it uses levers. That's where, like, if somebody goes to punch you, that you kind of grab their arm from the inside with one hand and you grab it the other side and you step through them and you punch them in the back of the neck. You can really screw somebody up bad by punching them in the back of the neck and head and whatever. But what I call a real martial art. I used to take Chinese Kempo karate when I was a kid, and there are martial arts that are like they're almost sporty, because somebody can step around you. This side, Krav Maga, of course, ninjutsu because it's an assassin's uh, martial art. Farmers used it against the samurai. They were against the emperor, so it was like these lowly peasants that learned the art of killing people with their bare hands. And an array of other things. Bruce Lee was the first guy really that we kind of get, or that I'm going to name, that I think is like one of the innovators of mixed martial arts, because he would fight people with chains and everything on roofs and in alleys, and whatever worked. If you have to bite them to win, you go ahead and you do it. So there is no style. That was his whole thing. You got to be like water, and you've got to adapt to your situation. So break off a bottle and slash their neck with it, whatever. Would love to sit down and have a conversation with Chuck Dixon about this. I wonder how he writes scenes like this. I know how I write scenes like this, whereas I'm an artist, I'm really visual, and I think of the trajectory of bullets, and I think if this person was standing there and that person was standing there, and whereas I did some martial arts stuff, and I have a heavy background of watching so much combat sports I'm yeah, I could be a commentator for a mixed martial arts thing or whatever. I know what they're doing, all of that. I'm probably not the best person to watch like Golden Gloves or whatnot, because I want to scream and like corner the person when I feel like their corner's doing an insufficient job. I'm one of those people. I don't know if y'all get into it. I was wild during the Tyson fight, by the way. I wanted Tyson to knock Jake Paul out so bad. Okay. Anyway, so I wonder how he processes that. Also, I had a terrible childhood. I went through a lot of trauma and pain and abuse, not just physically or spiritually or whatever, but in the church world, that's fun. But fight, 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 fight. I hated my childhood in Toledo, Ohio, and felt like the first time that I was ever home was when I moved to Roane County, Tennessee, which is so polar opposite. It's outrageous. Toledo is the cesspool of the state of Ohio. If you can think of a larger cesspool, I don't know if there's somebody from Cleveland that feels that way, or or whatever. I mean, I don't know what it's like to live in Dayton. It may be very nice. I know, the mob runs operations there, whatever, has historically. It's like a crossroads. But yeah, we're not gonna. Well, I guess we are gonna have to talk about organized crime because of the movie. But yeah, Toledo, it wasn't kind to me. There's a scene towards the end of it where the guy's like scraping his face against like the concrete bricks, and it's like, yeah, I did that to people. That was my big thing, by the way, as like a teenager or whatever, was to use the environment with me. I'm not trying to say that I'm some big tough guy, because I'm not. I am gentle Ben. I'm a sweetheart. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Fonzie said that he was both. But yeah, you do what you have to do, and like the child Ben determined really fast that when somebody was going to bully him on the school bus, that he was not only going to throw a hook, but that he was going to drive their head into the metal bars by the window and beat them into blunt objects or whatever anytime that he could, because he wanted the fight to be over. So yeah, you get some of that. You get some people knocked into walls and fall down and hit their head on corners of stuff, and that absolutely can kill somebody, depending on the veracity, whatever, the speed that they're going and that they're plowing into whatever it is with. But yeah, it was a good movie. Uh, some of the explosions were movie-esque, like blowing up the police car with the fully automatic weapon that they had. I felt like there was some decent realism in the gunshots and everything. It didn't go on full on extreme horror movie like I like. I see. I've written a lot of extreme horror stuff, gore and all that. It does not bother me whatsoever. Again, where my childhood was so bad, and people are like, "How do you have the capacity to write things like this?" Well, I would think about murdering all of my bullies like endlessly when I was a teenager. If it wasn't for my walk with Jesus Christ, I could have easily envisioned myself being one of those kids that goes into a school and kills them all. I feel compassion for a lot of kids that do that, that have been relentlessly bullied, and some fool that's gonna grow up to go to prison somewhere because they are the scum of the earth. They're a bully as a kid and they're a bully as an adult. You know, that they just say I was just joking, that they just get by with it. That you have fools as principals that say if you're in a fight, regardless of if you start it or not, which that happens up north, but it didn't happen down here. Down south, they say, well, you're the one that started it, and shoot, you sure finished it. And they're like, you're in trouble for starting the fight. They don't get the person in trouble for taking up themselves, because we're in the Bible Belt, and we believe more right than Toledo, Ohio. There ain't nothing holy about Toledo, Ohio, except for my mama says me. So yeah, that's about the way that it is. But it was a cool movie. I enjoyed it. I know that are 12 different books, and this is based on the first book. So there's a lot of source material where it could be made into a series, into a limited series, into a series of movies, and what have you. But I hope that it's successful and that it picks up. It really kind of has that type of vibe like Reacher has and all that. He goes after the girl to save her, that these people have been like family to him. This main guy Levon does. He goes after them, he hunts them down. They keep sending more people, they keep sending more people, they keep sending more people. It's good stuff. Yeah, somebody's waterboarded in it. Somebody gets drowned in a swimming pool in it. I imagine that that would be a sucktastic way to die. I would probably rather be like shot to the head because it's faster. That type of thing. Gun wounds. Uh, I think somebody would hang on longer if they were stabbed in the neck. But I don't know, and I don't know how comparable that is to the book. But the guy dies pretty quick. That he's just in the neck. I think somebody would hold on for about 3 to 5 minutes. Honestly, do the Western horror stuff that I've wrote. I would talk in detail about how the blood would, you know, kind of like when the heart beats and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever had to kill anything at all in this like in life, in real life. And I'm not talking about, hey, you're just watching movies and playing video games, but I'm saying like actually physically kill like a real animal. I'm not talking about people. With me, it was a squirrel that had like rabies or something that was in like the backyard when I was a little boy. And so I took a shovel, right? And I got that shovel, it was like a spade. And I like beat that squirrel in the head with the shovel. And what happened to it is what happens a lot of times when you shoot something in the brain, it doesn't necessarily just like kill it right away. You think that it should. Um, a lot of times it's made too easy in movies and series, but they will flop around like a fish and scream bloody murder. And yeah, this guy was an ineffective shot. These people went down. Nobody was like flopping around like that. Which he had high caliber weapons that may very well have done that. If you didn't die, you would go into shock because you get that over. I think it was like the West Hollywood that thing where they had the people with the fully automatic weapons like they were out of a comic book, because essentially they were just really well put together and not incompetent as most real life criminals. That's why they were like comic book-esque quality. But no, he took them down. We had a dude out here in East Tennessee, and I know that I'm diverting from the subject and I'm just talking about real life gun violence, but it helps you to write and to process, right? So there's this dude out here in East Tennessee, and he went up to Knoxville to this Unitarian church, and I'm not going to comment and all that on like doctrinal things or lack thereof or whatnot. But anyway, they were having like a little play. It so happened at that time, and the person that he shot dead was Methodist, and they just went down there to see some little kid in the play. But it was some white dude, and it was like back when I think when Obama or whoever was in as president, and he's like, all these liberals have ruined my life, and I can't even get a job and all that, and so he went into this church to mow down as many people as he can. Again, I'm talking to you about grave incompetence. It's no wonder the man couldn't get a job. You know what he went into the church to mow down as many people as humanly possible with? A shotgun. The man's an idiot. You don't have a weapon that you fire twice and you have to reload if you're wanting to spree kill people. You want a maximum amount of rounds, which is why you have a lot of these like anti assault rifles. I don't even know that that's a technical thing, an assault rifle, like a real, I know what people call them. But you know, where they can shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And I'm not saying like fully automatic because it's like, and they're done, but I mean where you get like 30 or 50 or whatever rounds, you know, 100 rounds, and it's just bam, 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 and you're just going at it. That's what people do. I mean, you know, watch Taxi Driver. The guy's got these guns. He's like a pirate. He empties the gun. He doesn't stop to reload because he's having to kill a bunch of people. He throws down the gun. He grabs out another gun. Bam. He's got the thing that kind of does the thing on his wrist and all that. He's all psyched up for it. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Marty McFly goes ahead and mimics that classic Robert De Niro without the excessive use of profanity that he says in that movie before he does that. I like Taxi Driver. It's a neat movie. But he goes in there and he just shoots that place all to pieces like it's the last episode of the anime Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's a lot of shooting. Bang, 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 throwing grenades, all that. This movie with Levon in it, A Working Man, has that level of stuff in there. And yeah, he's got a few grenades going on. They're not the pineapple grenades. They're the round ones. The pineapple, I think that's more about the shrapnel flying out and like hitting people, which the dirty bomb is the same way. I know that if you're in close proximity to a grenade, just the shock wave from it will kill you. Not even a piece of something hitting you, but just the boom will kill you. Yeah, it throws some dude like a good ways. My brother-in-law, he was in the United States National Guard, and he's like, it's scary when you really like throw a real life grenade, like what it's like, just the boom, and it shakes the ground under your feet. I mean, it will just, you know, it'll make you want to get right with Jesus is what it'll do. But it's not just like some movie thing. It is scary as all can get out for a real bomb to really go off. But yeah, I liked the movie. I thought that it was cool. There was a good flow to it. It went through Levon's family dynamic, which I don't really feel like I have to explain all of, just that he has a daughter that he loves very much, and that her mother, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that because it's not shown in the movie, that she had committed suicide, and that his father-in-law and him have a rough relationship because he blames him for it. um you know, the books, I'm sure, probably say it more in detail. Get the books, read the books, go ahead and check it out. This was my first seeing, hearing, being a part of any of Levon's series stuff with this movie, and I hope that it compels you to want to dig in deeper. I have spoke with Chuck Dixon because he's awesome, and by the way, there was a guy at a comic shop today that was saying as much. He said that he will write something on Chuck Dixon's Facebook, and there's a lot of creators like this in comics, y'all. And he said it means a lot to him that Chuck Dixon will write back. And I could go ahead and I could name after name after name after name, whether they're in indie comics or whether they're in up at Marvel or DC or wherever or whoever. And super nice, super responsive. It just makes you like them that much more and want to get their stuff. You know, Gene Simmons in Kiss, he says that he will always stay to the last person in line that wants to go ahead and buy any of their stuff or have anything signed. He said because that's why we can live the lives that we live, because somebody that's making minimum wage or whoever it is, is down here and cares enough about us and has supported us to lift us up as much as they have as a band. Willie Nelson has famously been the same way. They don't walk out on their fans. They don't treat their fans like garbage. There are some bands that have been noted to treat their fans like pure garbage and even turn their backs physically, like literally, on their fans to as like an offensive thing. Of course, I think of the Rolling Stones, and yet somehow they have still survived. They're that classic, but yeah, they've been accused many times of treating their fans like absolute pure garbage, to the point that you would say, why does anybody even listen to this band? That it should turn you against them. I can't answer it for you. I mean, they say I can't get no satisfaction, and then they want to prove it by the way they act, on Mick Jagger and everything like that. They have quite the reputation. But yeah, I like the movie. This is my shout out for it. It's a little breathy, long-winded rant, whatever you've got. Anyway, at least it's probably, hopefully, maybe kind of sort of entertaining. But yeah, I liked it. I like the movie. I would recommend the movie. If you want to watch the movie, go watch the movie. A lot of cool things that have just come out. The Day the World Ended is also out in theaters. It's been out for a few days. It's Warner Brothers. It's got all the Looney Tunes characters, and I guess aliens are attacking or whatever. So they've got that animated movie that's out right now. Also, quite literally, today on March the 29th. Well, I think it happened on the 28th. Yeah, on Friday, on the day before. Today's Saturday. The what do you call it? Angel Studios, The Chosen. They have a 3-part series about the Last Supper. There's also somebody else as a Last Supper movie. I can't vouch for that. I can just say that the Chosen series overall is made very nicely. In fact, they are one of the absolute top studios, and I'm going to go ahead and plug them because I can. I think that it's good work that they do, and I also see McDonough a lot, that actor, in a bunch of stuff, because they almost like Tim Burton uses Johnny Depp for everything. They've got him, and they've got him in another movie that's coming out in theaters. So they're hitting it like bam, 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 like major studio hard, kind of, with being in the theaters, being in the theaters, being in the theaters, being in the theaters. And they're making money hand over fist. Basically, they're doing what many Hollywood studios either lack the competence or the desire to do, because you have to have both. You can't just say, man, I want to make some churchy thing and then make everybody mad at you because you're a moron that got people that didn't know the audience that they were supposed to be speaking to. Or you can't just say, I want to make this good thing, and your theology, your thought process is right, but you're just not a good writer, or what. That doesn't work. It all has to be there. It all has to be in place. And this movie felt right. It felt good. Everything was on track. The music score was cool. I really liked when they were playing Moonlight Sonata, when people were being shot all to pieces, because the girl, dropped a musical scholarship and all that to do it. I like that. I like Beethoven anyway. I'm a big classical music kind of guy. I've loved it ever since I was a little boy. I was raised real strict. It was just like Southern gospel music only. But then when I'd go to my papa's, we'd listen to classical music. And so I'm like really in tune with like the whole classical music stuff. My mother hates it. My mother says that's the kind of music that they play when some psychopath is killing everybody, Dr. Hannibal Lecter or whatever. Yeah, pretty much. But it's good stuff. Anyway, that's my take on A Working Man. Hope you enjoyed it. This is B.L. Blankenship, comic book writer extraordinaire, literary author, written theological books under another name, and then under my fiction, you've got mainly Western horror, and then you've got some Victorian Confederate sci-fi type stuff going on, and Southern Gothic as well. A lot of things that are set in the 19th century, because I think that that's cool. Then I have a Holy Ghost Exorcist that happened in 1972. Yeah, Flannery O'Connor was inspirational to me and all that. So I like to write. I like all that. Chuck Dixon said with his stuff that he began writing novels because there wasn't enough comic book work for him to do. I've actually stepped back from writing novels to write comic book stuff. So we do a lot of the same things. I don't know if he's been like in the music world and all that, but I love that. I like songs that have stories in them. But you know that if you understand what Southern gospel is, and if you don't, Johnny Cash, basically, in a nutshell, that type of thing, the stamps and whatever, the cathedrals, the original Hensons, the Happy Goodmans, so on and so forth. It's not even what it used to be today. It makes me sick to my stomach. It's new gospel now. They've wrecked the entire genre. There's quartets that don't even sing quartet music. I'm not going to get on that note. B.O. Blankenship signing off. Boom.